Hello everybody, this is Arlene once again. I'll just give it a minute or so before we start. Hello Jack. Jack and Jenny. Hi Jack. Hope everything in Canada is doing fine. We're still in lockdown until June 4th here, but things are slowly opening up. All right. I've got to turn this thing off. Hang on, folks. Otherwise, you're going to hear every beep and thing going on here. Okay. Whoops. Not what I wanted. Let's flip that over. Nope. There we go. There we go. Should learn to comb my hair before I do this in case it flips. Hello everybody, this is Arlene from the Carver's Wood Shop. I appreciate you joining me. We're going to be doing the cow today. And I know a lot of you are looking forward to doing the cow. And this is the sample one I did today. So here's all the stuff we've already worked on. This is week number 5. So we've got Joseph, Mary, Jesus, the star, and the donkey done. Alright, so we're going to push this aside here, and we're going to put our pieces right here. Alright, so let's get started. Get your knife ready. Put a glove on if you have a glove on, and a thumb guard. And the first thing we're going to do, this is same size as all these pieces are with Joseph, Mary, the donkey, all the animals, the wise men. All of them are the same size. So we're looking at 1 1/4 this way, 1 1/4, so it's a block, up to 2 1/4 by roughly an inch on the top. When you taper it off, about halfway up. It's just very slightly, like 1/8 of an inch on each side. All right. So the first thing we want to do is, hang on just a second. All right. The first thing we want to do is, hang on, okay, we're going to put our lines where we need to. So you got to figure out which is the front and which is the back. So for me, the front is here. This is the wrong thing I was drawing on here. Getting ahead of myself here. No, that's right. That's right. So this is the front, and what I did was I went up a little ways and I put a little mark for the feet. This is the feet portion, the black hoofs on the bottom. All right. Hello, Jean. How are you doing down in Texas? I guess you're still down there. Okay. And then I measured out a little ways to do the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put a small curvature this way. All right. Same thing over here. You're going to measure this distance to that distance. And again, I always use my finger holding the pencil so my finger rests against the piece. And let's see here. I have not figured out how to get rid of this fuzziness of the videos going in and out. One of these days I'll figure it out. I just haven't really had a whole lot of luck with that. I'm going to come out a little further. Just feel it's a little better to come out a little further. Okay. Same thing with the feet, the hoofs, the back portion. You're going to measure at the top. You're going to measure this way. You're going to measure this way. It's all the same size. And then you're going to just do like an upside down C. This is very similar to what we did last week. It's not going to be much different. The only thing that's going to be different is the face, because the face is much wider, the nose is much wider, the nostrils are wider and bigger as well. And so let's go over here And let's put the other side on. Once we get all these lines on, then things become much easier. Okay, so that's the bottom part. Then about maybe an eighth of an inch or a little better, we're going to put one line for the ear. Okay, we're going to measure again with our finger, and you're going to do both sides. And you're going to look at it from the front and see if it's even. That looks pretty even to me. Maybe not. Let me take a look here. One. No, it comes down a little bit more on this side. Alright, and then I'm going to measure again this way for the side of the ear. Alright. Well, this is week number 5. And next week we will do the sheep. I'll show you that towards the end. Alright, so we have our line here, and we're going to figure out how far down we're going to go from the top of the head. So we're going to go down to about, just about there. So let's put a little mark there, and a little mark here. Same with the other side. Again, we're measuring with our finger and our pencil. It eliminates a lot with, now that didn't look straight either. Let's see if I got that right. That's a little higher over here. Okay. Always look at it. You know, when you look at it, then you know if you've done, if it looks a little off, then remeasure it with your finger and your pencil. Alright, so right here we're going to come up same way we did with the ears. I think everybody is sick of the lockdown we've had. I was just getting off the phone with my sister Ann. She said, "Don't you have a show to do?" And I go, "Oh yeah, I do." I said, "I got to get off of here." And she was saying how much stricter they were in Canada than here in the United States. Yes, Christine, I have my thumb guards on today. I made sure of that. If you have a full glove, that's even better. Especially if you're a beginner, it's really important to wear them. I remember when I first started carving, I would sit in the living room and I would have a box of Band-Aids with me all the time. And every time I would cut something, jump out of the way quicker. That's all. Alright, so that's how far we are. So this is the ears and the feet are marked in. Now we're going to figure out where to put his, as you can see, his nose is much, much wider than the donkey. Alright? If you've ever looked at the mouth of a cow or a calf or a steer, they're very broad. So we're going to go up maybe an eighth of an inch or so, not far. And again, I'm going to measure out really kind of wide. So let me do it from there to here. Alright, and this is just going to, I'm sorry, I'm out of focus here. Upside down C again. Alright? And it's always hard to see one side versus the other. But that's not broad enough for me, so I'm going to bring this out a little further. Almost like a square. You know, if you look at this, where's the other one? That's right here in front of me. And it's kind of square, alright? It's not, it's like an upside down C, but it's a little more square. Alright, so that's about right. Then from here, a little bit down past the ears here, we're going to attach it to the face. Okay? What we're going to do then, it's similar to what the donkey is. We need to make this little archway over the nose. Is next. So I kind of go up here and I bring this up. Alright. So that is, something doesn't look right to me, folks. I don't know what it is. Hang on. I need to come out a little further. Let me just come out a little further because I don't like how that looks. Okay. So, now you got everything marked that you're going to mark on here for now. Get your knife ready, and let me take a little drink out of my hot cocoa. It's still cool down here in PA. It's not super warm. Yeah, so the first thing we're going to do, I was jabbing the cow over there. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little stop cut at the bottom of the nose. And we're going to just cut upward from there. And I use the force of my thumbs a lot of times, okay? And then I do the top of the foot. Same thing. I'm going to come down. Okay? I'm going to do the ear. Straight in. And we're going to cut that out. And the top of the foot. Same thing. And we're going to switch to the other side, do the other side as well. I hope everybody had a nice week. We expected some rain. It's been kind of dry here this week. We haven't had a lot of rain. And the top of the foot. Okay. So we got the notches out. You want to get your V-tool. Alright. V-tool is very handy. You can do a lot with the V-tool. I sold a lot of these. I'm trying to order some. It's going to be a while before it gets here, probably in August or the end of June or something. I haven't remembered. But it's hard to get these. They're not easy to get individual like this. So I found a company that will do it, but it might take a while for it to get here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the V-tool, I'm going to use it to, now you keep your hand out of the way. You're going to just bring this around, and you're going to go to the outside of the line as much as possible, not on the line, but right next to it. Okay, and the same thing with this one. No, I think before long we're going to need rain. Alright, let's see here. I'm doing the feet first. Then we did the front. The back, the front foot. Now we're going to do this foot here. Notice I have my thumb against it, so you're not going to slip anywhere. Try to keep your hand out of the way, because you never know. Yes, I got a glue gun the other day, and oh my goodness. I kind of touched it, and it got on my thumb, and I went to grab the piece, and I grabbed the whole thing that was already glued with the hot glue gun. Got it on my other hand. Oh my Lord. It was just a sight to behold, me running to the kitchen, trying to get cold water. But anyway, here you go. But I love the glue gun. I got a Ryobi glue gun. Love it. A cordless one. Been using it for all kinds of stuff around the farm. Hey Jack, that's a new tool you might want to look into. But, alright, so we're going to follow all our lines out with the V-tool. But I never thought I would have that much use of a glue gun. But man, they are handy dandy. They really are. But anyway. Yes, more Ryobi. You know me, I'm a Ryobi fan. Alright. And you're going to do the other side as well. Alright. Now, let me me find another knife here. And, oh, I forgot to do above the nose here. What I'm going to do is a little triangular, little V-cut at the top of the nose. Hello, Jim. Or James, whichever way you'd like to be called. Anyway, we're going to put one down here as well. Okay, now you can see the cow starting to emerge from the block. Now comes the fun part of starting to cut it. The first thing I usually do with this, let me get this here. The first thing I usually do is I'm not sure what you meant by that, Jack. I'm not sure. Now I'm going to do some stop cuts. This is just gives me a guide where I'm trying to follow the lines all the time is when I do it with a V tool. So I'm going to first trim this down a little bit. Okay, we're going to round up the nose a little bit. And we're going to round off the top. Take that edge off. And then right here, remember we're going to go in, we're not going to go in this way. We're going to go in straight parallel with the corner when you do this. So you're going to follow this and around the nose. You're going to take the edge, you're going to cut that out. Okay? Now here is where, right up here at the top, it's going to be your deepest cut. So you're going to just go in a little ways more. And you're going to pop that out. Just like so. Let me clean that up a little bit. It's hard to see it where I'm cutting. But that should all come out. Hang on just a second. Much easier if I have it closer to my face, of course. Okay, there you go. So that's the one side. And then you're going to cut along the ear as well. Cut that out. I'm going to spray it a bit. It's a little harder than I like it to be. I spray it with a combination of water and rubbing alcohol, if you can find it in the store these days. I found a bunch of it at a store, and I just picked up some a few weeks ago. So, alright, so now we're going to round off, well, actually we're going to go back to this ear here. Alright, and we're going to follow this again. Okay, you're not going to go into the head. You're going to go straight in. Okay? Alright. So now we're going to come down here a little bit. I'm going to trim off the nose, go a little bit deeper all the way to the edge here. Alright, now we're going to round off the ears at the top. Now if you notice, his head's kind of flat. This one's kind of flat as well, or a little bit rounded, not much. But usually they're pretty flat. Okay, even on a real calf or a cow, they're flat. They're not rounded a whole lot. If they are, they're very slightly rounded. So we're going to just chop that off. Time for another knife here. Another knife here. Hang on. I try to find the sharpest one. Oh, perfect. All right. So I'm going to just kind of cut this across. All right, just like so. All right, and then you're going to do the same thing to the front. You're going to bring this down. We have about, I think, 4 more weeks. And then I don't know what we're going to do by then. Have no idea. I have a couple of things in mind, but I'm not sure yet. You're going to take this corner off next. You want to get rid of all that rough stuff that you see, that white that you see there. That's the stuff you want to get rid of. That's from the bandsaw when I cut them up. All right, good. Now we're going to round the bottom part of the mouth out a little bit. This will all be cut out again eventually. All right. So we got the head kind of shaped up. We got the nose popping out there. And we're going to go to the back of the ears. We're going to also follow that line straight in. Okay. You don't want to do it this way. You want to do it always along with your edge. Okay. Kind of have the same angle. Same thing to the other side. Sometimes if you lean it against your table, you can put more pressure on your cut. Kind of a dull week here this week. Nothing too exciting happened. I know everybody wants to be open. Our country wants to be open. A lot of people think it's enough time in quarantine, but yeah, some of us feel we should be more in quarantine, but it all depends if you have to work or not. I understand businesses want to be open. I certainly do understand that. I just hope we don't do it too quickly that we end up in the fall in the same boat that we are now. So, let me just round that off a little bit more. Okay, all this stuff that you see, this rough stuff, that all has to go. I say that each and every time, but it's very true. So, let's cut. We're going to cut into the ear a little bit more to undercut it. Now there's Justin. I wondered where you were. Okay. All right. So that's how deep you want it to have it. You want give it a shadow effect. A lot of times helps to make things look deeper than what they are. All right. So we'll do the same thing over here. We're just going to cut this out again. And I'm going to cut it way in there. Let me do it back here for a second. I can't do it at that angle. I'm sorry. Okay. So we got the ears cut out. We've got the head rounded. Hello, Justin. We've got the back side done. Same here. You want to kind of do a little bit of undercut there just to cut that out. And I'll do the other side a little bit later. Trying to think where to go to next. Well, I'm going to trim some more of this off right by the face. So we're going to go past the face one more time. We want that nose to stick out a little bit more than it does. And I'll do the same thing on this side, just recut it again. Stages, you don't have to do it all at once. You really don't. It's better to take your time than trying to take everything out at one time, because if you go too deep or you cut it the wrong angle or something, you have a better chance of repairing it if you do something wrong. All right. All right. Now the cow has bigger eyes. He's got a bigger nose. His feet basically are the same. They're not. They should be a little bit bigger than what a donkey is. But, so I'm going to follow this also with my knife. Do a stop cut on either side. And we're just going to cut that out. This is the front portion. Okay, now I'm going to round the foot a little bit, not by much. We're going to take that corner off. We're going to go up, round it off. That's going to have to be a little bit deeper where the face or where the and the feet meet. Okay. Round off these feet a little bit. Take off that edge. And I'm going to cut it right there. A little bit in on either side. Just bring it up so it looks like it's a little bit of a curvature on the bottom of the body. Okay. And that makes the feet stick out a little bit as well. Same thing over here. All right. Now you're not going to round this completely off like you think. It's going to give you the illusion that it's rounded off. We're going to take your little V tool, whichever one you have, and you're going to go right up through the center. And then down. Okay. Hang on just a second. We're going to round off the front hoof a little bit. A lot of it's taking off the hard edges, you know. Now what I usually do is I usually put one more little stop cut and kind of put a little V cut in there. It gives it some depth when you do that, okay? So it's really important if you want something to really stand out is to do an extra little V cut here and there. It just makes things pop out a little bit more. It's like doing a relief carving. When you do a relief carving, you're doing it out of flat surfaces, and a lot of times it's just a matter of how deep you cut and what angle you cut to make something pop out better. All right. See how that pops out a little bit better? So And then we're going to do this foot over here the same way. We're going to just round this up. Oh, here we're going to go in a little further. We're going to undercut the ear. Let's do that first. See? Just a little bit of an undercut. If you don't do it, it looks like that. If you don't do that. So, I'm going to do this ear as well. Just a matter of putting a stop cut in and then going back and forth till it pops out. Perfect. Good enough. I'm going to follow this foot the same way with a stop cut. Now when you do a stop cut, you don't have to do it really super deep. You can go back and do another stop cut if you want. That's up to you. A lot of times I'll do a couple of stop cuts on one area, simply because it's easier to cut. You don't want to take big gobs of stuff off. You know, it just helps control your knife better, and it also gives it a cleaner look than trying to gouge everything out at one time. So I'm going to round this off, round that off, and round the bottom of the foot off. If you're making a nativity set, I had a couple of people already sent me pictures of what they have done. I would enjoy that. So if you have any of it done or carved, not necessarily painted, but if you want to show it to me, that's fine. Just send it to me by email or by messenger on Facebook is also fine. Or by email, which is a simple email. It's carverswoodshop, one word, and it's at yahoo.com. It's very simple. Okay. See how this pops out a little more than this? We're going to change that. We're going to just put a little cut and a little V cut. This is when your V tool can't do what this does. You know, unless you have a very narrow V tool to make a very, very, very small, deep V cuts. And I enjoy doing that with the knife anyway, so. Here again, we're going to pop this out back here. All right, we're going to start on this one here. Get this one started. I'm going to pick up the pace just a tiny bit. This will be on YouTube later. Tonight, probably. Well, if they give me permission to show them, I certainly will, or they can put it on my page, on the Arlene Zomer Carver's Woodshop page on Facebook, or on the Carver's Woodshop is the best one to do it. If you're not part of that, you can ask to be part of that. That's just a page, and I needed my regular home page in order to make the other business page. So, yes, if you want to post it there, you certainly can. Whoops. Alright, so the feet are basically done. The only thing I do here is I make sure the rough stuff is off, which I didn't do here, but you gotta make sure all that's off. And any of these little bumps, that you can kind of clean that up with the knife. I rarely ever sand my pieces. It's all done by knife. And that way, you don't have to worry about dark spots when you go to paint it. My V-tool's right here. Okay. So what I do on both feet, it's a little bit of a V-cut to make it look like a hoof. A hoof, or a hoof. Hoof, not a huff. A hoof. Oh my goodness, too much hot chocolate tonight. Alright, so let's head up back to the head. Now let's start on the back side a little bit. And we're going to round, no tail on this one either. It's just easier not to put the tail on, and there's really not enough room to do that. You can put a tail on if you want, but most people are looking at the front of it anyway, so it's not a huge deal. Now we're going to scoop this out a little bit here. And again, I'm going to try to blend that in a little bit. Alright, so all this is going to be taken off. All the rough stuff is going to take off. You have to take it off here. Let's see here. Alright, now the ears, again, you're going to have to trim off the edge there on both of them. You're going to go around and you're going to take all that rough stuff off of it. Alright. The face, you want to start taking all that rough stuff off, because if you're going to do that, this comes up a little ways, so we're just going to pop that out a little bit. Just like so. Okay? Same thing over here. We're just going to have that go up a little higher. Maybe that was a little too high. Let's see if I can fix that. Alright. So, I'm going to round the face off just a tiny bit, take those hard edges off. What I mean by hard edges is those corner edges that have a little corner. See this little corner right here? That's the stuff you want to try to take off. All right, there. All right. We're getting there. I still have some of the sets available if you need them. If you need extra, I do have more here. You just order them on my online store. Rounding off the nose a little bit. All right. I'm going to clean this up here because this all has to be cleaned off. You don't want any of the rough stuff on there, so we're just, let me get a different knife. I'm going to do it back here for a second so it's a little faster for me. I'm trying to reach around the corner there. I'll be right back, I promise. Alright, there we go. And the same thing with the ears, you want to make sure all that rough stuff is off. I'm still cleaning up underneath the ears here. Alright. The next thing you want to do with this is you want to round this off just a little bit. You want to make sure this is a pretty smooth transition from the nose to the face. And I'm just going to do a little V-cut, just a tiny one, to kind of bring that out just a tiny bit more. Even on a small calf, the mouth is very, very wide. In fact, my hand fits in a mouth of a calf, and that's pretty wide for a baby calf. And they have teeth on the bottom, trust me, I know. When we tried to teach them how to drink out of a bucket, it was not my favorite job, because sometimes they wanted to chew instead of sucking up the milk out of the bucket, because they had to be bucket trained to go off the mother there. So anyway, I just used a different Rough Rider. People have been asking me about the Rough Rider knives. I don't have any right now. I'm going to look on eBay and see if there's any, and if I do find them, I can tell you where to go buy them. because you will have to revamp them. They are not going to be, I'm going to take this rough stuff off the nose too, because we're going to have to finish that off as well. So. A couple people have asked for the Rough Rider knives, but it's been so long since I bought these, but I do enjoy using them. And really, folks, the knife that I use the most is the one that's the sharpest at the time. So I can have 5 different knives here, and I just keep switching them back and forth. I don't stick with one knife all the time. I have a group of knives that I stick with for the most part. I'm going to take some of this rough stuff off of here too. Alright, there we go. So, you know, everybody is different in what they like to have as a knife. I am finding it a harder time finding these Murphy knives that I can sell at a decent price. And I'm putting some money into finding some tools that I can resell. And I put some money in a knife that I thought might work, and oh my goodness, it was a nightmare trying to sharpen it. So I thought, well, that one's not going to work. So I'll keep looking for something that will be not only good to use, but that you can use for a long time, and that's going to have the value out of it. And it's not lasting for you either. You know, all these tools will last quite a while for you if you get the right stuff. Now I'm going to trim this off a little bit more. All this is a little bit too bumpy for me, so we're just going to start trimming this down a little bit. All right. So really that is the front of it. Now if you notice, the top of the head is completely different than the donkey. So what you want to do is there's just a little bit of a ridge that goes across. If you look at a calf, they have this extra hair in the front and it's kind of squared off, and that's where I came up with that idea. So what you're going to do is from the ear, this has to go up a tiny bit more. From the ear, do it this way. From the ear here, it's going to go up a bit, and a little bit of a curvature to it. Not by much, but just a little bit, just like so. All right. And then you're going to take your V tool. I'm going to try to get this to come down a little bit more. There we go. I'll fix that up a little bit here. And then we're going to go straight across with the V tool. From ear to ear, okay? That doesn't look straight to me at all. Alright, let's try this again. I'm going to come down a little further on this one. There we go. That's a little better. So then I'll take my knife again, and I'm going to put a stop cut from there across to there, and we're going to undercut. I'm going to turn it upside down so I can get to this side a little bit better. Alright, that's pretty well it. And then I'm going to just blend that in, get rid of that other little edge there that popped up from cutting it. Alright. Now, to put his big eyes in, and his nose, I'm going to put nostrils are usually to the side on a calf or a cow. They're pretty big. Nostrils are huge. Okay, and we're going to put one over here. And the reason I do it with a pencil and I look at it, I can see it doesn't look right. It's off. So I'm going to bring this up over a little further. See if I can get that to look. Okay, let me look back here. I can see it better. Don't know why that looks a little weird. But... Alright, And then we're going to put the eyes in. It's the same thing. I always do a slant and a U for the eyes. And when you do it at an angle, it gives it a sad look to it. So I'm going to try to I'm going to do it back here again so I can even it up a little bit. There you go. And then we're going to cut across that first. So we're going to take our knife and we're going to cut straight in on one side and just start cutting. Now you don't want to pull it out if you can't. If it doesn't free up, you always want to go back and recut it. If you don't go back and recut it, you might pull something out of the eyelid. And we're going to put a little eyebrow in there with the V tool. So it should be okay. Now I'm going to take it back here, take a look again, because I don't see it well through the camera. So let me... Alright. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a pretty big eye in there, just like so. And trying to match one side to the other is almost impossible to do the first time. So, you know, I go back to measuring. Yeah, that's about right. And then when you go to cut it, it's another challenge to make sure it's even. That is really, really the difficult part. So what I do is I usually take my V tool again when I do this. And I just start from the bottom. And I just gently make a little cut. Not real deep, okay? And you notice I'm turning my carving. I'm not turning the tool. Okay, there's one eye. But I'll do more to the eye than what you see. In fact, let me put this one out. There we go. And then we'll come around. I heard some of our churches are going to open in June here. And I think some other churches are going to wait until later on, possibly fall. So I don't know when they're going to open up. But that's a mystery for everybody, is when things are going to open up. Okay, so I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to just follow that cut again. All right. All the way in the bottom here, straight in. And I'm going to put a little nick at the top in the corners. I'll show you why, because that should pop out. It should. Doesn't always the first time. Okay. And you're going to just follow the inside of the eye a little bit, just to round it up a little bit. There you go. Alright. See the difference in the two eyes when you do that? It's different. It's important to go back and round off the eye a little bit. You don't want to round the whole eye off, just a little bit, so you can tell that that's sunken into the head a little bit. There. Alright. We're going to do the same thing with the other eye. Let me... I hope to get to Hay Creek this year. I don't know if that's going to be possible. And that's in October. We'll see what happens by then. But I'm going to try to take that little corner out. There we go. And this little corner out. See what a difference when you take one small little chip out. It makes it look so much deeper. Gives it so much depth. Okay, now for the nose. Okay, now for the nose. That's what it looks like. All right. Let me find my little hefty little rounded tool here. Perfect. Got one right here. All right. So the nose is really, really kind of wide, the nostrils. So I'm just going to go in from one side and start working my way around. You notice how I'm holding it. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. I'm just trying trying to get the first layer off so I don't chip anything out. And you keep going around and around until something pops out. Just like so. Alright, now I go back and I do it again. I like these nostrils to be kind of deep. If you ever looked at a real calf or a cow, they're all deep, but they look really dark, like big holes in their noses. Okay, so we're going to do the other side same way. I'm going to try to try not to pry it out. I mean, pull it out if you can help it. Let it kind of go on its own, just like it did right there. Now you notice the difference. It looks much different. So we're going to go on the top here a little bit more. And go on the edges here a little bit more. And try to pop that out a little bit different. Let me look at it from back here. I'll see if it's even. Oh no, it's not even. There we go. Well, I was going to say he had a booger in his nose, but I'm not trying to be funny. Alright, here we go. Now we need to put his little mouth in there yet. So, if you notice here, there's a little bit of a... They do have a mouth at the bottom of... And I use my hefty little V tool, and I just go to the bottom, and I just try to put a little cut first. Give me an idea where to go. I'm sorry. And these are all, this is a 4.5 and I have a 3. And the only difference is the size of the wings. It's the same angle. Okay, so a 4.5 or a 3. Either one will work. Actually, if you have a smaller one, it might work a little bit better. Because then the wings don't get in the way. Then the wings don't get in the way of touching anything else. That's why you want a smaller one sometimes. Okay, that's it. Now on this particular one, I put a little bit of grooves at the top to give it hair, and on his eye, they have huge eyelashes. When it's the same thing. You can use either the edge for the eyes. I was asked a question for the eyes and the gouge size. Oh, the gouge. I'm sorry. That's I got it wrong. Let me see which size this was. This is a G4 that I used on this. A G3 or a G5 or a G2, you can use any one of them. The only difference is when you do the nose, you might have to make that opening a little bit wider. And how to do that is you just work your way in the middle and then work your way on the outside and go all the way around. So the last one I did was a G3. This is a G4. I don't sell the G4s anymore, but I do sell the G5s with the dockyards. There's 4 different gouges. I think it's a 2, a 3, and a 5, I believe. I gotta look at it. I don't remember. But anyway. And for the eyes, it's the same thing. I use the V3, the parting tool for the eyes. Now we're going to start with the hair and the eyelashes. If you ever looked at a calf or a cow, their eyelashes are so long and so big. So I thought, instead of painting, you can paint them on too. You can paint that on and nobody would know the difference. But I'm going to put a little bit of hair on him. So all I do is take my V tool and I just go from the bottom up and just go kind of in different directions. Not far, not a lot. Okay, that's it. Same thing with the eye. Now, with the eyelashes, you want to go from the bottom up. You do not want to go from the top down, because you'll get a cleaner cut. Okay? Same thing over here. You want to just... Alright. That's it. And, you know, I've got some cleanup to do here and stuff in the middle here. And I've got to take all this stuff off yet on the back side. And again, you're just rounding it off a little bit more and taking all that rough stuff off. Same thing with the ears, but it's pretty well done otherwise. And that's how you do your cow. So, you know, where's the other cow? Here's the other cow. Alright, so we got 2 cows, we got 3 cows. Any questions before I sign off for the night? I'll wait a second, 30 seconds or so. You can always, the V-tools, they're very difficult to sharpen. I know that a lot of people have a problem with it. And I'll be honest with you, I've been going on eBay and some of these other places looking for the V-tool. And what you get from them, you never know if it's going to be sharp or not sharp. So what I do here is, when you order a V-tool or you order the dockyards or the knife, they are ready to use right out of the box. You don't have to sharpen them. You don't have to worry about sharpening them. You may want to hone them from time to time. You're going to have to do that. But for the most part, you'll be able to take them right out and use them. And that's the hard part, because I had bought a real cheap set just to see, you know, what was being offered on eBay and Amazon and all that. Most of it was too dull to do anything with it. You really need to have sharpening skills to do that. Most carvers do have that, but it's up to you to figure out how to take care of the V-tool. And I'll be honest with you, the V-tool is not the easiest to do. It takes some practice, and I've ruined enough of my micro tools trying to learn how to sharpen them. So I will have eventually different gouges in this style that I'll sell as well, separately or in sets of 3. I haven't decided how to do that until I get some of these things in and see what the quality is of the tools. Once I get that, I know this looks awful. This wrap, it just helps me to hang on to it better. It's a little bit of a, helps me to grip it better. But the dockyards are well worth the money. They're not cheap, but they're worth the money. And these all have, like, this is the V3, and, you know, this is the same as this one, but what I call the wings, these portions here, it's longer and you can go deeper. Because if you go too deep, you're going to gouge out stuff. And a lot of times you're only going to go like 2/3 of the way up. You're never going to go deeper than 2/3 anyway. So if you're doing real intricate stuff, this tool is really good for that. If you're doing what I'm doing now, you can use either tool. But I find the handle's a little nicer on the bigger one. And I've learned to utilize that for a lot of things versus the V3. But I've used both of them. I use them a lot. I don't think I started using the V tool until maybe 10 years ago. And, you know, I've been carving almost for 40 now. And I always made my V cuts by just using a knife and making a cut in the center or doing it from either side of the cut at an angle with the knife, and it wasn't uniformed a lot of times. If you look at my first videos back 10 years ago, I show how to make the beard without using a V tool. And it it is a handy way to learn how to handle your knife, but it is also a much longer process. So what I would recommend, if you're a beginner, and you can get used to using the V-tool and learn how to sharpen them, they are well worth having. Any of the tools, gouges, you'll use the gouges somewhere along the line. Like we use it for the nose. Sometimes I use it for the ears when I do people, and I do the bald-headed Santa. I do it for the noses, for the ears. Sometimes when I do the bear that I have, I end up using them to dig out the pot that the bear is holding. So, but anyway, let me share with you real quick. Next week will be this guy, the sheep. And I'll tell you, this thing is just absolutely a lot of fun to do. And here's where you'll need the gouges, okay? If you don't have the gouges, you can use a V-tool, but I think it looks a little more fluffier look to it if you use the little gouge. And I think I used a 2 or a 3 on this, so of the dockyard. But I will have a few 2s and 3s probably in this form with this type of handle. Okay, so whoops, I didn't mean to knock him over. But I'll let you know if those become available, because they won't. You only have to buy what you need. You don't have to buy a whole set that way. All right, so this one will be done, and then after we're done with him, we'll do the shepherd, we'll do the wise men, and the angel. So we're looking at maybe 4 more weeks of this. So, and then that will bring us up to July. I can't believe it, but it will bring us up very close to July. All right, folks, so thanks very much for everything. Thanks for supporting me here, and if there's anything you'd like to order, just go to the store and order it. You'll find it on Facebook, or you'll find it somewhere. You'll find the link. Okay, take care and have a good week too, and we'll talk to you soon. And get ready to do the sheep. And yes, he's going to be the same block as all the other things have been so far. All right, take care. Bye bye.